Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, this is Anu.
This is Matthew Richardson from ICPSR.
Hey, Matthew. I guess we are the only two on the call yet, so we'll wait for a couple of minutes. Hello? Somebody just joined?
Patrick from Import.
Hi, Patrick.
Hey there.
So we are waiting for some more people to call in. Hello? Somebody just joined? Hey, Jink.
Hello.
Is Firat with you?
Yeah, Firat and I.
No, I'm not.
Good to know you're not there.
So we have a problem with our computer here, so we cannot log into.
Oh, I see. So is Ergin there as well?
No.
Wow, that's emphatic. Okay.
Do you need him? Should I call him?
No, that's fine. I just was writing down the names of all attendees. I was trying to find out who are all there.
Hey, this is Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. I see Jared on the web. And I guess we need Panda and Jared and we can get started. Maybe we'll just give it a couple more minutes. Hello, who just joined?
Hi, this is Sanchita.
Hi, Sanchita.
Hi.
So we are just waiting for some more folks to join the call. And once we have everybody on board, we'll get started.
Sure.
Might take 2 or 3 more minutes, I think. Hello, somebody just joined the call?
Hi, this is Jared Lyle from ICPSR.
Hi, Jared.
Hi.
So maybe I see Sanda on the web, but I guess we should get started today. Actually, so let me just read off the people that I see who are on the call. We have Matthew Richardson and Jared Lyle from ICPSR. We have Jing, Firat, Jeff, and me from BioCaddy. And then we have Sanchita and Patrick from Import. Am I missing anybody? Okay, so if not, then let's get started, or somebody just called in, I think.
Hello, this is Sandra.
Hi, Sandra, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So we're just going to get started with the call. On the agenda today, we just going to talk briefly about action items and any updates on those. And then we can discuss with the ICPSR folks about the work that we're going to be doing. After which, I think we'll have the discussion with Import folks, and we will have Sujal from IRD who will join us probably a little later in the call, and then which is why I moved Import to the second half of the call. And then if time permits, then we can discuss about our progress with the NCE work. So for the action items, we still have the ongoing discussions with CEDAR and the Commons Pilot folks. I didn't hear anything about whether we're going to have a call tomorrow or not. Jeff, did you hear anything?
No, but I'm still fighting through my backlog of email and other things after traveling for.
Oh, okay. But I mean, from what I know, I don't think we have a call tomorrow. Just an FYI. With reference to us getting in touch with repositories, as you know, we have the ICPSR folks on the call today. George couldn't make it, but he's going to catch up with the discussions that will happen here through the recording, as well as, I guess, discussions with Jared, Sanda, and Matthew. And we also have folks from Import who have joined us, and we'll have the IRD folks joining us later in the call. So we'll have some fruitful discussions about what they want to do, or what we want to do. So I guess we can jump right in and talk about the technical details of what we are looking into with ICPSR first. So for ICPSR, what was proposed in the no-cost extension work, they're already working on exposing the DATS JSON for ingestion by DataMed, and the plan currently is to have an extension to incorporate detailed data element descriptions, which can then be ingested by DataMed. And also, I think the other part would be for us to provide schema.org annotations. Although I believe I want to say that George said that schema.org annotations are already present in ICPSR. Is that right?
Matthew?
Yes. For all of our for our data sets, we provide schema.org tags in the form of JSON LD on the study homepage, because the Google Science Project requested that we add those tags to our website. So they're sort of invisible meta tags that are
Right,
present on the
right. And then on the BioCaddy side, we've been interacting with Google through bioschemas, and also been working on sort of alignment of DATs with schema.org. So I think one of the first activities would be to sort of review sort of what you're exposing and how you're exposing it compared to the schema.org mapping from DATs, and see sort of how much they overlap, and where there might be differences in representation, where things could potentially be added.
Yes, and that's not especially a challenging task either. I mean,
No, exactly, yeah.
So do
I
you need
know
some
that
CPSR to do that before you proceed further?
Oops, what was the first part? You sort of faded out.
Okay. Who's taking point on that task?
I don't know if we have. I mean, we're talking about it today, so I don't think anyone's been targeted. But I mean, that was sort of one of the potential options we could do. Anu, did you have another comment or?
So, no, I was going to say that I know Sandra has been reviewing ICPSR data that we have currently in DataMed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
To see how it aligns with what is being exported. Isn't that right?
Yes, I have. So I have been reviewing that, and I think the latest development is that we did find some problems with the way the current DATS version handles citations and related publications. So George has sent out, and I'm not sure exactly who. There was a group, but I didn't look at the.
That was Anna's group, and I think Alejandra was the one that replied.
Yeah. So he has sent out a proposal of how he sees things, and that should be considered for the next implementation, the next version, whatever you are going to
Yeah, but
produce.
I think you were looking at DATS 2.0 versus DATS 2.1 versus DATS 2.2. So the current implementation that we have is DATS 2.2.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if it would be useful to go back and see if maybe some of the comments have already been addressed.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know exactly where to find this. Is it going to be on the BioCaddy Workgroup 3 page where I found other versions?
Yeah,
or maybe
have that.
Anu, can you send me just a link to this so that I don't?
Yeah, sure, I will.
So that I don't spend too long looking for it and not finding it.
Of course, yeah.
2.2, yeah, that would be useful.
Yeah.
But I believe, so I don't know, George is in England, but I believe he looked at it, but I can't say. I am willing to double check. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I guess once, if we have that review, so currently whatever is getting exported from ICPSR is DATS 2.1? Is that
2.1? I don't know, Matthew, do you know?
Yes, and the reason we're holding off on doing 2.2 is because of schema.org. If DATS is going to be reflected in schema.org, then the existing code I can update my existing JSON LD, and it does two birds for one stone.
Right. No, exactly. Yeah.
If not, then I have to do a separate metadata update on the existing, moving DATS 2.1 to DATS 2.2.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm more than happy to take lead on writing up a quick document explaining the differences between the tags in JSON LD and DATS 2.1 that we're currently using. But who then wants to take that comparison and look at JSON or look at schema.org and deal with proposing new tags. I have to be honest and say that the schema.org definition of data set is really, really small. There's just not a lot there.
Right, and there's been through bioschemas, there's been some additional work in terms of some of the extensions. So it might be good to maybe have a focused working meeting with Alejandra and Susanna and Philippe, since they've been the ones on the bioschema side sort of interacting with schema.org.
So I should write it up and send that on to Alejandra?
So I wonder if you write it up, can you just add it into GitHub to the same issue that George has raised, so that we could continue there, and then in the meanwhile I'll try and set up a meeting, or maybe we can just talk like through emails or through GitHub. The discussion could go on, but Jeff is right, and we don't have Alejandra or Susanna. They're all on vacation this week, so we don't have them calling in for this meeting.
Well, I'll go ahead and prepare the document, and I'll see about getting that into the making that available to you folks, and we'll go from there. I'll start with George and make sure have him send it on to the right people.
Okay, yeah, that'll work. George knows exactly who. Working on what? So is there anything we need to get started on our end, Jeff?
For the schema.org, we really, on the implementation side too, it's getting together with Alejandra and Susanna with some of the the potential extensions around the data sets. So I think that's sort of the next step forward would be to have this meeting with them specifically around the schema.org markup.
Okay.
Because we had Ian report on the meeting briefly, but we really haven't had a sort of an in-depth review of where DATS is in terms of schema.org and what the sort of the plan moving forward is in terms of the extensions and things like that. So.
Right. I think we are also kind of holding off, or at least Firat is holding off on doing the final work for the API, for rendering.
That's conversion, yeah. That's conversion.
Yeah, right. Just because we are waiting on the alignment between schema.org and
so maybe
that.
maybe
So I think.
Yeah, maybe we can take one of these Tuesday calls and just focus on that.
Yeah, but I just want to ensure that Philippe and Alejandra will be on the call.
Oops, sorry.
So yeah, if we want to do this, I just need to ensure that they would be on the call on that day, so that
Yeah, maybe we want to schedule it earlier so that it's not like at 9 o'clock.
Too late for them. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I let me get in touch with them early next week and figure out the time. Okay. Is there anything else that we need to talk about in terms of implementation on either our side or ICPSR side?
Nothing that I can think of. I'm just waiting on that decision between schema.org or traditional JSON exports.
Okay, and the other thing, I guess, for which ICPSR is kind of featured also is where we said we would be actually ingesting a detailed description, so not at the less granular level that we are actually ingesting at right now. I think
do you
there
mean
was some
variable level?
I'm sorry?
Do you mean variable level or measures?
Yeah, variable level, exactly.
Mm.
So I know we're not pulling in data at that level yet.
Mm-mm.
When this topic last came up, ICPSR was not in a position to easily provide you with measures. We are now, frankly. We changed our system around such that individual measures are now stored as JSON clouds in a database table, so it's pretty quick and easy for me to retrieve a list of them and format them into a different standard. I think the only challenge there is going to be test cases. Like, you probably don't want a study that has 26,000 administrative measures. I mean, they're just not going to be related to biosciences at all, and it won't be particularly useful.
Yeah.
But we are in a technical position where if you were to tell me, Matthew, expose the measures for study 6849, I could do it pretty easily.
So we have to pull up the subset that you have which relate to the biomedical domain, right?
Yeah. We should only do those. We have too much data for you to get everything. It will be too much.
It would be good to pick either a series or some sort of a subset of our studies and start with those to see how useful the dimension information is. From what I saw of the dimension tags in DATS 2.1, I'm just not sure how incredibly useful that metadata will be, but I think it's one of those where we should try it and see what you think.
So are you also mapping your dimension metadata to like CDEs or something? Because I know George was talking about some mappings.
Those were only experimental. We don't do that at organization level. So we did look into that, but we don't have anything that is in the ICPSR general processes included.
Okay.
So the unfortunate thing is you could choose a data set that focuses on biological sciences, but a good chunk of the variables won't be all that useful. There'll be things like age and gender, general demographics, not the specific questions you're looking for. And you will get all of the measures, not some of them.
Right, but I think in some of the use cases that we had been talking about, age and gender were things that people do look for when they're looking at data sets. Age, gender, ethnicity are things that are potentially useful when people are trying to build cohorts.
Yeah, that's correct, Anu. But the issue, I think, as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I can see it, is that we have at ICPSR a very large amount of data that are completely irrelevant to the biomedical world, like census data, a lot of like counts of crimes and other stuff.
I mean, I wouldn't say that's. I mean.
So for this. Yes, it's not unrelated.
I mean, if one looks at census counts and things like that, I mean those are used sometimes when one does large scale studies of environmental influences and societal influences on health, right? So what is biomedical related to health can be very broad.
It's true. Would you also be interested in political election studies?
Yeah, I mean, elections probably not as much.
Yeah.
But it's gray lines that's sort of hard to know, where it exactly falls. Yeah.
It kind of sounds like what I should do is enable 2 flavors of DATS, one with measures and one without. And then I'll just put a flag on our website that lets people know if you download it with measures, it's going to be a little bit slower because you're going to get a lot more metadata.
Right.
But, I mean, we do something similar with DDI right now where you're allowed to download just raw DDI or DDI with all the related publications, recognizing that, like, one of our studies has 5,500 related publications.
And so potentially we could figure out, I guess, after a couple of months, how useful people really find it, or this is something you're suggesting we have as a feature in itself for.
What I'm recommending is I would set it up and send the URL formula to your folks so that you could look at examples, and then you can decide whether you think the metadata is useful or not. Yeah, because a lot of our variables don't have question text, and some of them are continuous interval variables, so the labels are a little iffy. But I think it's one of those things where I should just expose the metadata to you, and you can decide, like, is it useful as is? Do we need to tweak the schema? Is there more that I need to provide or less? And we can go from there.
Okay.
So yeah, and then the other question is, I mean, with the DDI export, which I believe is the way that we're pulling in data now. What are the differences, between the DDI and the Scheme.org and DATS export? Do they contain the same amount of information, or
in general, DDI supports pretty much all of our metadata fields.
Right.
The other DATS does not, and JSON-LD does not. But again, since I'm doing a comparison anyway, there's nothing that would prevent me from adding a column in there for DDI 2.5.
Right.
And I can just sort of put an X in the column and say, or if Sonda hasn't already done this, I suspect she has a document that contains this. That just says this field is supported or it is not in that particular metadata standard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I guess then the next steps is for like twofold. One is where we'll run a comparison of what we're currently exporting, right, for DDI, for DATS, and for schema.org. And then we'll also Matthew will also kind of send us some renderings where we'll have variables, plus minus variables, and then we look into it and figure out which of them we find or how useful it is for us. And this is from ICPSR side, and from our end we are going to have a meeting to kind of see if where we are at with DATS and schema.org alignment.
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
All right.
So
That's great.
Can you just repeat so that I make sure to take? What am I supposed to do? Take.
So I think what Matthew suggested is that we'll have a comparison.
Yeah.
Between what's being exported by ICPSR currently for DATS,
yeah,
and DDI, and schema.org.
Are we talking?
Which is your JSON-LD.
Yeah. Are we talking study descriptions, dataset descriptions? Okay. I'll talk. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I thought I would talk it over with Matthew.
We can meet tomorrow.
Okay. I don't. Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Okay.
And the other thing, I guess, the second action items from your side, Sanda, is Matthew will actually send us 2 renderings
Yeah.
of ICPSR data,
Yes.
one with and without basically the dimensions field,
Yeah.
which are actually variables.
Yeah.
And then we will look into how useful the variables would be for us.
Okay.
But I think, and this is so one of the. So I must, from what Matthew you said, we don't have any CDE mappings, right? Yet.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
There is
So
an
this is
ICPSR.
What, Matthew?
There's an ICPSR project in the works to add them, but I don't imagine they'll have any real content until mid 2018.
Okay. So I wonder if you're going to be adding them, then whether we would leverage some of the work that we would do or you would do to do it together.
Mm-hmm.
But this is maybe the question for George or Jared. Since
Yeah,
Jared's on the call.
This is not. Jared is not on the call. No,
he
this
is on the call.
Oh, he's. This is a CDE project. Even if we are working on it, but it's going to add potentially CDEs to a limited number of studies. Limited. It's going to be just a few for the time being. So if we talk about our collection, our whole collection, which is what you are importing and exposing on DataMed, it's going to be almost insignificant, regarding the size.
Okay. Because I think we are planning to have CDE mappings for some of the dBGAP data sets that we have.
Yeah.
So it would be good if we could integrate also the data from ICPSR, but we can talk about it later.
Oh, yeah. And I think George is a person who has a better idea about this because he's been talking to me about it too. So I think we should involve him in the discussion for sure.
Okay. All right. Sounds good then.
Okay.
Was there anything else that we should discuss?
Not on my part, no. Or
Matthew, Jeff?
I'm good.
I think we're good right now.
Okay.
Okay. Then we move on to the import use case that we have. So we have on the call a couple of people from import. We have Sanchita. Sanchita, do you want to give a brief? I'm sorry. So I guess since you are new for ICPSR, most of us have already been interacting with them, so we already knew them. So we jumped right in. But for you and Sujal, I would think we would have a brief round of the introduction.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Sanchita Bhattacharya. I'm a bioinformatics or a science project team lead for import, and I'm from UCSF. I come from Dr. Atul Bute's lab. I'm a bioinformatics project leader here at Institute of Computation and Health Sciences at UCSF. For my role in import is more I work as an end user, downloading the data sets, basically data reuse, data repurposing. And then we have Patrick Dunn. Is Patrick online, by the way?
I don't see him. I did. Oh, he is?
Okay.
I didn't join the Ready Talk, but I'm on the telecon.
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
So Patrick can introduce himself. So he's more from the data curation team. So for now, it's going to be Patrick and me from Import. So Patrick.
Hi, as Sanchita said, I lead the data curation team. I also do the functional requirements management on Import. So I take care of the data ingestion process, the curation, and then the sharing process. And then Sanchita and her team work on the end user reuse of the data. And I work with John Campbell, who's previously sent BioCaddy an earlier version of our data set, which is represented in BioCaddy. I think it's 5 or 6 data releases back. So we're just curious as to what your plans are going forward.
Okay. Sujal, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Sorry I joined the call quite late, only maybe about 5 minutes ago, so I missed most of the stuff before. We had another meeting. But just to briefly introduce, I'm at JCVI working in the group with Richard Sherman. I'm mainly working on the BRC project to support the development of IRD and Viper databases. And I actually also have Chetana over here, who is also working on the BRC, and she would also be involved in BioCaddy. So Chetana, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Chetna and I'm a bioinformatics intern here at JCVI, and we do work a lot with data models on the IRD database.
So Anu, we looked at your email about the data sets that you mentioned.
Right.
So we were hoping to talk a little more about it too, because we still don't think that there are any common data sets between Import and IRD. I looked through, so there are 2 groups that you suggested might have submitted, and one is from Rochester, and there is no surveillance data, for example, that is that they have submitted, and the other is St. Jude. And I don't think they have any immunological, for example, data. So I'm hoping you would actually elaborate a little more on what data sets you think are in common, because we couldn't find any. We found data the same strains, but that's not the same study. It could be same strains tested on different study samples or subjects, and so there is really no connection between the data sets that we have in IRD and the ones that are in Import.
So just to give everybody a little bit of background, we had a meeting with the Viper/IRD folks on last Friday, was it? Yeah, last Friday. Yeah. And we realized, in fact, Richard said that to his knowledge, there were no common, there are no different data sets that have been submitted to Import and IRD that arise from the same study or the same samples, which meant that the plan of us actually linking up such studies that use case couldn't be looked into. So, but when we went back and we talked to Alison Yao, who was the person who suggested that there could be potentially such studies between Import and IRD or Viper. She said that these were the 2 people, and to be honest, after I saw Ishwaran's email, I went back and I tried to search IRD for any data from Rochester or St. Jude, and I wasn't able to pull up anything. So since we have both the teams here, I'm hoping if there is any data sets which are in common in reference to having different experiments conducted on this, or how should I say it? The sample is the same and the experiments could be different.
So Anu, are you looking for across database? Because within database we are able to track, like in
right.
a consortium setting.
We are looking to link up across databases actually. That was the use case.
Yeah, within database there are examples, but I don't think that's what we are. That's the goal, right?
Yeah, you're right. That's not really the goal. We are actually trying to look for. So to give a straightforward example, you have TCGA data, which has lots of different data sets that comes from the same patient, right? That are derived from the same sample arising out of the same patient, but they're different data sets. Now, you also have, so there are multiple data sets that are linked to the same sample within TCGA. But you also have TCIA, which stores all the imaging data that are associated with TCGA data sets. But there is no obvious linkage. So the plan was to generate a linkage between the two and expose that in DataBank.
So within import, we have references to Geo as an example. So there are repository linkages in that way. We also support linkages to SRA. dbGaP is provided, and there's a flow cytometry database repository that we have worked with. So if you want to do that sort of linkage, you could use the import data, and I could give you some examples of that. But I don't know to what extent you work with Geo.
Jeff, do you want to maybe take that? We are indexing Geo.
Yeah, we're indexing Geo, their data sets, and also their samples.
So I have a question. What is this additional indexing providing? Because if we have data already indexed in NCBI, are we additionally linking anything to these by indexing it through BioCaddy?
Right. I think we at BioCaddy we actually just provide a common search interface. So if you are indexing through NCBI, depending on where you're indexing, if you want to look for a data set, for example, in dbGaP, Geo, in some other NCBI repository, you would have to individually search them, right? There's no common search interface for all of them together. And that is essential. So what you're trying to say is that you're already indexed by NCBI, in NCBI? Is that right?
No, I actually meant that there is search interface for that through NCBI, so that's why I was wondering why. But that's a different question than linking the two data sets, so I don't want to jump ahead.
So to link the two to link data sets, if there are any data sets that require linkage, so presumably there's nothing between import and IRD is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, we couldn't. I mean, we knew that there is no commonality, so I was actually hoping you would elaborate more, but if you couldn't find it, we couldn't find it either.
IRD is mostly about the virulent factors, and import is mostly about the host. So not having commonality is completely expected.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So
I'm happy to talk with Allison going forward. She's a dear friend of mine from way back, Sliver days. But I'm not sure of what she is remembering in terms of commonality.
So go ahead, Jeff. You were going to say.
That was my question, actually. So my question was just answered.
Right. I think actually this came up on Friday. Ishwar went back to Allison, and her response was that these two centers submitted immunology assay data into import, and they also have data in IRD, but they may be. So when you say one is of the I guess the host, and the other one, is it possible that the response or that the data arose from the same experiment, or is that not there? I mean, not knowing the data completely is, we don't know the data that very well that you have in import and IRD. So I'm just trying to get an idea of.
Well, to our knowledge, there are no data sets that have common subjects or samples. So there are no common data sets.
Okay. So then I guess we can go back to, I can reply back to Allison and Ishwar and find out how we move forward.
Okay.
So,
I actually have to leave early today, so I will bid you adieu, and good luck.
All right, thank you.
So Anu, so I have a comment here. So sorry, Patrick left, but what Patrick was alluding earlier, I know you're looking for the commonality between IRD and import, but how about what we have, and you can work with that scenario right now where we have the data. So in import, we have a lot of demographics and clinical data, and all the mechanistic data, let's say for now the gene expression data, is in GEO. So we reference or link out to GEO, right? So if you can help through the BioCaddy, if someone is trying to search the data sets, you can say all these data sets are gene expression related data sets are in GEO. So basically you're indexing on the data sets, right? That's not right now. If someone tries to search, they can't do it. So maybe there comes BioCaddy. You can help us out as a bioinformatician if I'm looking for data sets, saying, oh, import has all the demographics in clinical data, and then here is GEO with all gene expression data. So without going to import website, still I am able to extract that information that there are gene expression data sets in GEO and demographics data in import. So we are talking about here repositories, right?
Right. So I have a question. So is there a link out from GEO to import already?
No, that's the case. There's no link out from GEO.
Okay. So, but you already have this linkage information, correct?
Yes.
So is this something that I don't think this is something that we are indexing currently, right, Jeff?
Sorry, what specifically?
So what Sanchita is saying is there are data sets for which the gene expression data has been deposited in GEO, but they have additional clinical information and demographics information which are available from import.
Right. So those could be potentially linked, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. So that could be a good use case. Maybe there are no common data sets between import and IRD, but so Geo is one. Do you have any other?
Yeah, we have SRA, Short Read Archive.
Okay.
I know from Short Read Archive what we did is there's a link out saying these are import numbers or study numbers. Now there's another question here, which is, are we indexing at the dataset level or study level? There are two ways to go about it, but I personally feel that it's much more informative when you go dataset level indexing.
So currently, for Geo, we are indexing at both the dataset level and at their series level, which is probably the study level that you're talking about.
Not necessarily, because it's a little complicated. So study level, what I mean here is in import, we have the study, and within the studies, we have gene expression data, cytometry data, sequencing data, right? So there are many different kinds of data sets. So probably Geo has all the gene expression, but the sequencing data is all in SRA. So these are different repositories. Same study, but the data is residing in different repositories.
Okay. So that's where the linkage comes in. I think that's actually a good use case. So Jeff, do you think, I guess I can find out if moving forward this is something that we could pick up as a use case and work on?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a different use case, but I mean, it's a good one in terms of because it fills out the data sets in Geo, right? In some sense.
Right. Yeah. In Geo and SRA, I guess.
Right.
And then we have cytometry because, import supports many different kinds of data. So we have 3 or 4 different kind of repositories. So I think it would be great because I myself see a lot of value when you index in that fashion.
Right. I think that's fair enough. And the other question that I do have, which we probably should go back to Patrick, is how we are how currently, I'm not sure, are we pulling in data from import, Jeff, or are they pushing data out to us?
That's a good question. I'd have to double check that.
Because I know that they had done some initial work, at least with trying to map their data to that some time ago. And I believe, I don't know if how complete that was and whether they had started, exposing their data to us for ingestion or whether we were still pulling it in. So maybe we can look into that and then talk a little bit more about the deeper indexing.
Okay.
Okay, so is there anything else that we should? I'm so sorry to tell because I was hoping that we would.
No, it's totally fine. And let's if you get a chance to talk to Ishwar or Allison, and if there is any more, if I can shed a little more light maybe on what data sets they might still think might be common. Please do let us know. We'll keep looking at our end, and if we find anything, we'll definitely get in touch with you.
Okay. But in the meanwhile, I guess you've gotten in touch with Nansu, who's going to work with you guys for ingesting Viper and IRD into DataMed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know at my end, I mean, if you need any help from us, so then Patrick is the go-to person because he's a data curation. He's the lead for import data curation, so we will be happy to help you.
Okay, thank you so much. I guess we will contact, at least initially for deeper indexing and also about the linkages with Geo and SRA and any other repositories that you are indexing the data in or you're depositing data sets into. So is there anything else that we should talk about? Does anybody have any questions, concerns? If not, I think we have just 5 minutes left, so maybe we talk about other updates in the coming week, and we'll adjourn a little early today. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And we'll follow up through email, and we'll also meet again next week for the BioCaddy team.
Okey-dokey.
Thanks for calling in.
Thanks, Anu.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.